Once celebrated for its stunning natural beauty, now faces profound challenges. Earthquakes and major floods loom large, especially with the state sitting on the Pacific Ring of Fire. Is your state ready for a crisis? Most aren't. We've analyzed the data and the results are alarming. In the past 50 years, despite overall economic growth, the quality of life for most Americans has declined. Today, we are examining the 10 states most likely to face significant issues when a crisis hits this year. These states may rapidly transition from normal to disaster, while others might hold out a bit longer, giving residents more time to prepare and adapt. We will explore factors such as natural disasters, economics, and living conditions to determine which states are most at risk. Which state do you think will collapse the fastest when the crisis hits in 2024? It's Alaska, New York, Mississippi, or Puerto Rico. Please comment below with your answer. And now, let's find out. Top 10 New Mexico. New Mexico is grappling with severe challenges that threaten its stability. The state faces an alarming 18% poverty rate and unemployment rates that consistently exceed the national average, reflecting widespread financial instability. In the year 2019, federal funding made up nearly 40% of state revenue, leaving New Mexico vulnerable to federal budget cuts. Socially, the state ranks last in K-12 education, according to U.S. News to World report, hampering future economic growth. The violent crime rate, with over 850 incidents per 100,000 people in the year 2020, further destabilizes communities. Prolonged droughts have led to severe water scarcity, impacting agriculture and water supplies. New Mexico's infrastructure is crumbling, earning a C- rating from the American Society of Civil Engineers in the year 2021, and needs urgent investment. The state's slow population growth of under 3 over the past decade stifles economic dynamism, while a high uninsured rate of over 9 limits access to healthcare. Government ineffectiveness and corruption further complicate effective policy implementation. These intertwined issues, if left unaddressed, could drive New Mexico towards a socioeconomic crisis. A concerted effort from the government, businesses, and communities is crucial to prevent a significant decline in the state's overall functioning and quality of life. Top 9 Alaska. Alaska, known for its rugged, self-sufficient lifestyle, hides deep vulnerabilities. Residents, embodying a pioneering spirit, rely on hunting and gathering, yet the state heavily depends on external supplies for fuel and food. The harsh climate and short growing seasons make farming nearly impossible, limiting local produce and making full self-sufficiency a challenge. In a crisis, Alaska could deplete its supplies within weeks, leaving even the most resilient struggling. The Alaska Permanent Fund, vital to the state, faces mismanagement and conflicts of interest, eroding public trust and economic returns. The crab fishing industry, a cornerstone of the economy, is collapsing due to climate-induced marine heat waves, causing a $300 million loss and devastating the local economy. Alaska's severe housing shortage, driven by high costs and limited supply, makes homeownership unattainable for many and hampers the recruitment of essential workers. Despite initiatives, the crisis persists, risking higher healthcare costs. Heavy dependence on oil revenues, accounting for 80% of unrestricted revenues in the year 2019, is unsustainable amid declining production and fluctuating prices. The budget deficit, nearly $1.06 billion in the year 2021, has depleted reserves, signaling a fiscal crisis. Climate change accelerates permafrost thawing, leading to costly infrastructure damage. It's a population decline, with a loss of 24,000 residents between the years 2016 and 2020, further strains the state, reducing the tax base and economic activity. Political instability, including debates over fiscal policies like the Alaska Permanent Fund dividend, compounds the challenges of management and long-term planning. The next state will surprise you even more with its collapse. So I have a question for you. What do you think the future of the United States will look like if you thought Alaska's situation was dire? Wait until you see the next state, where natural disasters and pollution are wreaking havoc on residents' lives. Top 8 Louisiana. Louisiana is a state under siege from relentless hurricanes, intensified by climate change. Storms like Ida have wreaked havoc, leaving lasting scars on homes and infrastructure. In Cancer Alley, a heavily polluted 85-mile stretch along the Mississippi River, Residents endure toxic exposure from industrial plants, leading to alarming cancer rates and severe health issues. The pollution also causes higher rates of low birth weight and preterm. Louisiana's housing insurance crisis adds to the turmoil. After several devastating hurricanes, many insurance companies have fled or gone bankrupt, causing premiums to soar. The average home insurance cost here far exceeds the national average, imposing a heavy financial burden on families. Efforts to attract new insurers have largely failed, forcing many homeowners to rely on the state's costly last resort insurance, which often provides inadequate coverage. Economic inequality is stark, especially in places like Cancer Alley, where industrial benefits bypass the poor, amplifying health risks and social inequality. Chronic health problems and inadequate healthcare infrastructure hinder recovery from disasters, particularly in low-income, predominantly minority communities. Political powerlessness further hampers their ability to advocate for better living conditions and resilience. Despite recent labor market growth, Louisiana's economy is faltering. Over 10 of mortgages are underwater, the highest rate in the nation, signaling deep housing market distress. Financially, the state is precarious. Its reserve fund could only sustain operations for just over 3 weeks. Poverty is rampant, affecting all ethnic groups, with a rate of 19 second only to Mississippi. Northern Louisiana faces the highest poverty rate at Forte. Although some wealthy individuals live here, the gap between rich and poor is the largest nationwide. Educationally, Louisiana struggles, with only about 20 of students meeting except. Despite increased spending, the state remains near the bottom in national rankings. However, some colleges stand out as centers of excellence. Natural disasters, especially hurricanes, relentlessly batter Louisiana from June to November, causing immense property damage, flooding, and displacement, resulting in significant mental and financial hardships. Coastal erosion, exacerbated by rising sea levels, threatens communities, the economy, and the region's unique culture. Efforts to combat these issues, such as coastal restoration projects and levee systems, face immense challenges. Top 7 New Jersey. New Jersey is on the brink of financial collapse. It has the highest rate of unfunded debt in the United States, exceeding 20% of its total personal income. This crushing debt hampers the state's ability to fund essential services and handle emergencies. In a desperate attempt to fix its budget, New Jersey borrowed even more, deepening its crisis. Residents already face some of the nation's highest property and sales taxes, making everyday life increasingly difficult. Housing costs are another major issue, with the median home price around $400,000, making homeownership out of reach for many. This lack of affordable housing adds to the financial stress, pushing residents to consider moving away. Healthcare is also in dire straits. New Jersey has one of the highest maternal mortality rates in the country, with 38 deaths per 100,000 births, ranking 4th nationwide. The situation is even worse for Black women, with a rate of 102 deaths per 100,000 births. These alarming figures highlight severe healthcare challenges. Despite investments in renewable energy, New Jersey still relies heavily on natural gas, making its energy infrastructure vulnerable, especially during emergencies. Densely populated coastal areas face significant risks from natural disasters like hurricanes and floods, which are becoming more frequent and severe due to climate change. The state is also grappling with a public health crisis from fentanyl and other drug abuse, putting immense pressure on the healthcare system and complicating crisis response. New Jersey's social safety net is at risk of collapsing, potentially leading to widespread panic and social unrest. Let's look at the massive decline in the next state and see how it makes you feel. Before we continue, I have a 10-second request for all of you to listen. If you could help us out, please hit that subscribe button. It would mean a lot to us. In return, we promise to keep making the show even better for you. Top 6 West Virginia. West Virginia is grappling with a devastating opioid crisis, costing the state nearly $9.09 billion annually. This staggering amount goes towards healthcare, criminal justice, and lost productivity due to drug overdose deaths and related problems. Unfortunately, the state's high unemployment rate, currently at over 5%, exacerbates this crisis. Health indicators in West Virginia are among the worst in the nation. The state has alarmingly high rates of obesity and heart disease, and many residents lack access to essential healthcare services, leading to higher mortality rates and poorer overall health. For instance, West Virginia's obesity rate is approximately 4 TA, and heart disease affects nearly 14% of the population. Chronic disease rates in West Virginia are the highest in the nation, placing additional strain on the healthcare system. Long-term health problems hinder many residents from maintaining stable employment and a quality life. Natural disasters, particularly flooding, add to the state's woes. From the year 2010 to 2021, over 1,600 floods wreaked havoc, causing significant property damage and loss of life. Inadequate infrastructure cannot withstand such frequent and severe flooding. Recent legislative changes have complicated the situation further. Relaxed welfare and vaccination regulations threaten to escalate health and economic problems. Lawmakers are struggling to implement effective policies, leaving the state in a gridlock. The state's historical reliance on coal mining has left its economy vulnerable. As the industry declined, towns faced economic devastation, high unemployment, and limited job opportunities. Over 300,000 residents live in poverty, with 11 counties experiencing chronic poverty. Educational attainment is also a concern, with only 19.6 holding a bachelor's degree or higher compared to the national average of 32. This limits economic growth and opportunities for residents. These interconnected issues, combined with inconsistent political responses, threaten West Virginia's stability. Comprehensive and sustained interventions are urgently needed to address these challenges and secure a better future for the state's residents. Top 5 Mississippi. Mississippi has been struggling with financial difficulties for a long time. About 1/5 of the population lives in poverty and is unable to afford basic needs. The state consistently ranks low in employment, opportunities, and income, making it hard for residents to find good jobs and cover living expenses. Lack of funding. With over 10% of the population uninsured and no Medicaid expansion, access to healthcare is severely limited. The state's education system is also flawed. Only about 23% of adults have a bachelor's degree or higher, and poor academic outcomes for K-12 students exacerbate long-term socioeconomic problems. Many Mississippi residents lack the opportunity to attend quality schools, limiting their ability to develop the skills and knowledge needed to compete in the modern economy. In addition to education and healthcare challenges, Mississippi also faces a high risk of natural disasters such as hurricanes and floods. These events can cause a significant loss of property and life, displacing people and depriving them of their homes and livelihoods. Infrastructure problems further strain the state. The American Society of Civil Engineers has given Mississippi a dreading due to poor roads, bridges, and water systems. Furthermore, migration has led to population decline, reducing the workforce and tax base. Political instability and significant racial and economic disparities add to the state's difficulties, creating an environment where effective governance and social cohesion efforts are challenging. Together, these factors contribute to an uncertain future for Mississippi, suggesting the risk of collapse without significant intervention and reform. Does anyone still live in this state? Share your thoughts in the comments below as we delve into the heart of Mississippi's struggles. Let's uncover the alarming reality facing another region grappling with both economic and environmental crises. Top 4 Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico has faced severe economic and social challenges for years, only worsening recently. In 2022, the U.S. federal court intervened to restructure the island's massive debt, which exceeded $70 billion and was 68. Despite reducing this debt by 80, Puerto Rico struggles with financial management and attracting new investments. High unemployment rates and low incomes have pushed many families into poverty, worsened by limited job opportunities and high living costs. Frequent hurricanes, earthquakes, and floods devastate Puerto Rico, damaging infrastructure, crops, and lives, making recovery difficult and costly. Many Puerto Ricans have migrated to the continental United States in search of better opportunities, leaving behind an aging population that strains the healthcare and social welfare systems. The healthcare system is underfunded, with lower Medicaid and Medicare reimbursement rates than on the mainland, leading to a brain drain of healthcare professionals. nearly 1 million residents could lose their health insurance due to Medicaid funding issues, worsening the crisis. Budget cuts have plagued the education system, causing school closures and affecting the quality of education. Corruption and poor governance have compounded Puerto Rico's problems. Political scandals have led to unrest and a loss of trust in leaders. Inefficient management has wasted valuable resources and slowed recovery. The Puerto Rico Oversight Management and Economic Stability Act PROMESA, enacted in 2016 to address financial issues, has yet to resolve all problems. The Puerto Rico Electric Power Authority has been inefficient and costly from efforts to improve and privatize parts of the power system have been slow and challenging. Reliable power is crucial for economic stability and disaster recovery, but Puerto Rico's current energy situation remains a significant risk. California, once celebrated for its stunning natural beauty, now faces profound challenges. Earthquakes and major floods loom large, especially with the state sitting on the Pacific Ring of Fire. Critical dams, like Whittier Narrows and Lake Isabella, are in disrepair, threatening catastrophic damage if they fail. Over 1 million people could be affected, and economic losses could surpass $6 billion. The Whittier Narrows Dam, with its foundation issues, risks collapsing during heavy rains, potentially causing devastating floods downstream. In addition to earthquakes, heavy rains and melting snow make California prone to flooding. The mountainous terrain and poor drainage systems exacerbate the risk. The banking sector is also in turmoil, with major banks like Silicon Valley Bank collapsing, raising serious concerns about financial stability. Different regulatory changes, such as the Economic Growth, Regulatory Relief, and Consumer Protection Act, have weakened banks, increasing the risk of economic shocks and instability. Environmental degradation and climate change add to California's woes. Groundwater overuse in areas like the Cuama Valley has led to severe water shortages. Climate change and prolonged droughts have worsened this crisis. Intense heat waves spike electricity demand, but the aging power grid can't cope, leading to frequent summer blackouts. Forest fires, fueled by climate change, are more frequent and severe, destroying homes, threatening lives, and causing widespread damage. California's high cost of living and housing costs make homeownership a distant dream for many, contributing to the nation's largest homeless population. Average rents in cities like San Francisco and Los Angeles exceed $3,000 a month. High taxes drive residents and businesses to states with lower taxes, while public debt exceeding $1.05 trillion strains future budgets and services. Top 2. Illinois. Illinois is sinking into a financial abyss, endangering its fragile higher education system. Ranked among the states most at risk of default, Illinois' debt-to-GDP ratio stands at a staggering 122, the highest in the state, burdened by some of the highest property taxes, at 231, and significant income tax rates. Both individuals and businesses are fleeing the state. Public universities in Illinois now allocate 43% of their budgets to pensions, a dramatic rise from just 7%. This enormous pension obligation leaves little room for other costs, leading to tuition hikes, budget cuts, and declining student enrollment. The state is also grappling with one of the worst opioid epidemics in the country. In 2021, over 3,000 people died from drug overdoses, exacerbated by potent drugs like fentanyl. This crisis is overwhelming the healthcare system and creating numerous social issues. Illinois faces a major challenge with its shrinking population. In 2022 alone, the state lost over 100,000 residents to other states. This decline reduces tax revenue, causing budget shortfalls for public services and infrastructure, increasing the tax burden on those who remain. Economically, Illinois struggles with slow growth and a poor business climate, ranking poorly in business surveys due to high costs and regulatory challenges. Fiscal mismanagement, including a 2-year budget impasse, has left the state's credit rating just above junk status. Poor funding of social services and infrastructure has led to deteriorating public services, with a CA grade from the American Society of Civil Engineers for infrastructure. Environmental disasters such as tornadoes and severe storms are becoming more frequent and severe, causing extensive damage and placing additional strain on an already overburdened system. Top 1. New York. Our final stop takes us to a city that never sleeps but faces sleepless nights ahead with its daunting array of challenges. New York City, the iconic Big Apple, might be a ticking time bomb in 2024. With over 8 million residents, this bustling metropolis conceals serious risks that could turn life into a nightmare during a crisis. Cramped living spaces leave most residents without gardens or any self-sufficiency. Despite leading the nation in cabbage production, getting fresh food into the city during a crisis would be a logistical nightmare, leading to severe food shortages and widespread desperation. Crime is another major issue. As of 2024, major crimes have risen by over 20 since 2022, according to the NYPD. In a full-blown crisis, this could spiral out of control, with law enforcement struggling to maintain order. Political gridlock only adds fuel to the fire, further shaking economic stability and public confidence. Financially, New York's economy is under immense strain. Household debt is skyrocketing, making it tough for many to secure credit or buy cars, especially the younger population. The recent bankruptcy of Republic First Bank has only worsened the situation. High mobilization costs and a weak commercial real estate market are pushing many banks toward bankruptcy. Housing is a colossal issue. Nearly 40% of households are overburdened by housing costs, making New York the third most expensive housing market in the United States. In the city itself, this figure jumps to over 43%. High taxes, including the highest income and wealth taxes in the nation, exacerbate this burden, driving more than 300,000 people to leave New York in 2021 alone, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. Housing insecurity is particularly severe among Hispanic and Black households, with New York having the highest homelessness rate in the country, double the national average. Natural disasters add another layer of risk. New York faces high risks from storms, floods, and earthquakes. The city's location in a geologically active area means it could suffer significant damage from earthquakes, especially since many buildings don't meet modern construction standards. Coastal storms and floods are becoming more frequent and intense due to climate change, making the city increasingly vulnerable. Efforts to mitigate these risks include building seawalls, improving drainage systems, and updating building codes. However, these measures are often hindered by the city's aging infrastructure and dense population. Despite these efforts, the risk of large-scale disasters remains. City officials and residents must stay vigilant and continue investing in prevention and risk mitigation to protect against these potential threats. If the USA collapsed, what should the residents there do? In the hypothetical scenario of a state collapse in the United States, residents would face a multitude of challenges and uncertainties. Their immediate concerns would be safety and security, so prioritizing personal well-being and seeking shelter away from conflict zones while following any remaining official instructions would be crucial. Simultaneously, securing access to clean water, food, and essential medications, ideally through pre-existing stockpiles, would be vital for survival. Staying informed through any available means, such as battery-powered radios or word of mouth, and establishing contact with loved ones outside the affected area would also be important. In the short term, forming or joining local groups for mutual aid and support would be essential. This could involve sharing resources, providing security, or coordinating basic services to ensure the community's survival. Additionally, as traditional currency might lose value, establishing barter systems for essential goods and services would be necessary to maintain a semblance of economic activity. If possible, seeking external aid from international organizations or neighboring states for humanitarian assistance could provide much-needed relief. Looking towards the long term, if the situation remains dire and unsafe, relocation to a more stable region or country might be necessary, requiring careful planning and resources. However, if there's a chance of recovery, participating in efforts to rebuild infrastructure, establish new governance structures, and restore basic services would be crucial for the community's future. Adapting to the new environment by learning relevant skills like farming, basic medical care, and self-defense would also be essential for long-term survival. It's important to note that this is a hypothetical scenario, and the actual response would depend on the specific circumstances of the collapse, the resources available, and the resilience of the affected communities. Additional considerations include the immense psychological impact of such an event, necessitating seeking support from others and prioritizing mental well-being. Moreover, in the absence of established laws, communities would need to establish their own codes of conduct and conflict resolution mechanisms to maintain order and ensure a just society. Ultimately, preparedness is key, and having emergency plans, supplies, and skills in place can significantly increase the chances of survival and recovery in such a dire situation. If you found today's video interesting, don't hesitate to hit the like button and subscribe to the Discover Globe channel. Your support is very important to us. Be sure to check out the next video appearing on your screen. You're sure to love the content Please leave a comment about which country you'd like us to explore next. Thank you for watching, and see you in the latest video. Thanks for being with us on this great journey. Leave your thoughts in the comments and to help us. Remember to subscribe for more. See you soon.